like to call the meeting to order. Welcome to the November monthly meeting of the Ladeville Central School District's Board of Education. Will you please join me in the pledge of the flag?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At the beginning of every board meeting, the Board of Education sets aside time for the public to speak. Tanya, has anyone signed in? Okay, thank you. Need a motion to approve the minutes of the Board of Education meeting of October 12th, 2021.
Motion to approve is written.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please raise your right hand. And that's unanimous. We have superintendent's report.
Yep, I just want to recognize, first of all, our school board. Last month or so, we celebrated Board Recognition Week, and we recognized the board via press release on the hub and our Facebook page. I want to take a minute on behalf of our school and our students. If Gracie Johnson was here, she would say the same as well, to thank each of our board members for their volunteer efforts, their very strong commitment to our school, and your advocacy not only for our district, but for our students as well. And we just thank you for all you've done, and we certainly recognize and appreciate all of your contributions to our district and to our school. I want to just mention real quick, since the last board meeting, we talked about COVID updates on the website. They are now there. All you have to do is go to the website underneath the COVID-19, and they're updated on a weekly basis. So, for example, last week we only had one positive case. That's showing up. We had one student last week, and we had the last 4 or 5 weeks up there as well. The report card, which I update myself every day, is also active. People can check that as well. That report card shows how many staff we are testing. On average, we're testing about 3 or 4 staff a day. Some days we do 0, some days we do 6. It all depends on the schedule. So that is up there and is being updated every Monday morning on a weekly basis, and every day the COVID report card on a daily basis. But there is considerable conversation going around the state still on the COVID thing regarding what's called a test to stay option. Vern and I had talked about this once last week or so. It's up to the local health department. What it essentially means is if we can have enough staff and enough testing supplies, we can allow students to stay in school as long as they test negative. That will not allow them to participate in anything extracurricular. It would keep kids in school. The problem would be staffing that, both on our end and on the health department end. And the problem would be making sure we have enough testing supplies. There are maybe 3 or 4 counties that are trying this across the state. The real problem is, board members, is that the state, although they are allowing this, they're not supporting it. They're not even endorsing it. They're not even going to give support for it. Test to stay.
For quarantine kids.
To quarantine kids, yeah. So we are looking at that as a county, and as a health department is working on that with us. A lot of unanswered questions. I think it's a good idea. I will support it. It will keep kids in school, but we have to make sure we can staff it and make sure we have enough testing supplies, because we are testing 27 staff a week. There's Harold. Okay. Parent conferences begin November 19th or so. We're offering both in-person and online. So some parents do prefer the online option. The senior play returns, one of our great pastimes here. The senior play returns in a couple weeks. We did not have that last year. Wednesday, I had the honor of being at the Lions Club with my fellow administrators, and some of you are Lions in here as well. We will induct about 12 Leo Club members, new students who have joined Leo Club. Will be inducted on Wednesday night at the Lions Club meeting. 2 quick items of interest with respect to the Capitol, the school buildings rather. We have commissioned a study on the metal building, the infamous metal building that some of you went to school in years ago. We are housing that for students, and we're looking at using some of our federal funds to support some enhancements in that building. We're meeting with the architect tomorrow. We also have received our building condition survey. Harold and Steve may be interested in looking at that. I can get you a copy of that. It's a multi-page document outlining areas for possible improvements in the next capital project. So those are two items regarding the district buildings. The metal building, which we have 2 classrooms in there right now, looking at doing some renovations in there using federal funds. We use those classrooms to house our RTI program, which we have expanded. And then good news, winter sports begins next week. Basketball and wrestling all begin next week. So that is my report. Any questions?
What do you think it takes to staff for that testing scenario to keep kids out of
It would
quarantine?
depend. Yeah, that's a good question. It would depend on how many kids we have on quarantine. So it's a chicken or the egg syndrome, Jared, because one, we have to make sure it's equitable, so every kid has access to it. But then 2, assuming a child rides a school bus to school, and assuming that they're under a quarantine order, and if they test positive when they come into school, then we just lost that whole bus. So, and we can't tell students to test at home because 1, the tests aren't easily accessible. 2, they cost money. So a state has said if we're going to do it, we have to give universal access to all. So it would depend on how many students we have. So let me give you an example. When we had the pre-K quarantines last month or so, it was by October, right? Let's see, we had the pre-K quarantines. Yeah, we have several kids out. We want those kids in school, so we'd have to test those kids every day before they even come to school. Or once they come into school, they go right to the nurse's office and they have to be tested there. That's a staff issue. For the nurses have other obligations besides testing kids for COVID. So the health department, if they can get a grant, they could send staff. So we as schools in the county has said, okay, we can do it, but Paul Pettit, to his credit, has offered to send staff. So we'd have to kind of navigate that. Niagara County's on the fence, so it would depend, Jared, on how many students we have quarantined.
In that equation, we're quarantining kids, students for 10 days,
Correct.
correct? Symptoms arise within 3? Is that
They recommend testing between 3 to 5 days afterwards, yeah.
so? Couldn't we just staff, like if you sent away the whole grade, the whole classroom in 3 days, if they're not showing symptoms, they could come and get tested and possibly be back in school instead of doing it every day? Just
So-
staff it every day?
So no. So if we're going to do the test to stay option, they will be tested every day. What they recommend is, say we don't do the test to stay option, what the recommendation is after about the 3rd, 4th, or 5th day, that's when symptoms begin to show. They will recommend they actually recommend the PCR test, which is more invasive than the antigen test, which is easier to do. So they would have to be tested every day using the antigen test, which I know so much about this, it's scary, but but the antigen test, you should not use that for like symptomatic people either.
Right.
So I can't give you a straight answer because it's
Okay. Okay.
complicated. Yeah. Vern?
Would there be any possibility of even coming back with them saying, okay, we understand this test, the new type of testing program, but what if parents wanted to get the kids tested on their own?
They can do that, but we have to make sure every child has access to those tests. So they can do that, but we just can't.
Right, but our policy now is, my daughter was one of the quarantine.
Right.
At no point could I get her tested to get her back in school,
No.
even if I wanted to pay for it. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no option. And then if they're saying it's laughable to say the students can go back to school but can't participate in extracurricular activities.
That's what the rules are. Yeah.
Like that. No, it's like, you know what? All right, we'll let you come back and learn, but you can't have fun. It doesn't make any sense. So I
No,
like that
it's
Paul's
very
reaching out and having
frustrating.
these ideas about these testing programs, but even a compromise would be nice. You know what I mean? Somewhere
So-
along those lines.
So in the guidance that I read, if Vern found to test his child because he bought a test and his child comes back to school, but Jared Thurber's child, they can't afford a test or they don't want to buy a test, and then Jared Thurber's child has to stay home. What the guidance is, it's not fair to Jared Thurber's child because they couldn't afford a test. They don't have a card to get to a testing spot. So that's why we have to make it equitable for all. So that's using you two as an example. That would be why what you're saying, Vern, wouldn't work with respect to what they have offered us. Does that make sense? It has to be fair to both Vernon and Jared in order for us to do it, and we have to staff it, and we have to have enough supplies. Or Vernon and Jared's children, I should say.
We are children.
One question, the overall policy of test or whatever it's called,
Test to stay.
test to stay, who makes that decision?
The counties, it's up to the county health department. So it's a local decision it's a countywide decision with no endorsement from the state. So I can't make the decision myself. Holly can't make it. Albany can't make it. Paul Pettit would make it, obviously in consultation with us. But we want it to be a unified policy.
Would they be in consultation, would he be in consultation with the state health department? I'm just wondering, we
No,
get this all
because-
set up?
No,
and-
because the
and
State Department
gets
has,
pulled the
no,
plug.
they have said in a memo, the state will not support it. They have authorized it. They've authorized the health departments to make a decision, but if you read it, I'll show it to you.
Okay, so they've signed off, the state signed off on local control.
Yeah, but it's laissez-faire.
Same thing happened with the Mets.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
You know,
laissez-faire.
All of a
You
sudden, a
wanna
bunch
do
of
it-
us are gonna do it, and they're gonna say,
Yeah.
well, that's too many.
There's rumblings that the latest folks have sent that down there, because we have to wear them all day, if we're in the office, that there may be changing in policy. The latest political.
Yeah.
rating.
In that equation, who pays for that, for the testing? Will that come down from the state still, or is that
Uh,
what the school has to take it?
No, we wouldn't pay for the test. We don't pay for the test now. So-
Currently, right. but I'm
So,
saying-
no, we would not. It would come from the health department or the state or this grant that Paul Pettit talked to us about. I'm not sure what the confines of the grant are, but part of that grant, Jared, he could use to hire staff to do the testing. But it's a burden on them too, because now they're left to figure this out. As we have been with everything else since this whole thing started. Okay, good questions. Thank you for those.
Okay, any other questions of the superintendent? Okay, hearing none, moving on to business action items. We need a motion to approve the snow removal bid for 2021, 2022 as printed.
Motion to approve is printed. Second.
Questions or comments?
Do we have any other bids on that? Do we get any?
So we have only had one, and taking a cue from last year's conversation, we did reach out to the town. They are not able to support this year. They expressed interest in getting us getting to them early spring next year. So we only got one bid on it, and same bid we got last year.
That's the same monetary?
Close, right, Joe?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's close, yeah.
Went down a little bit.
Yeah.
Did it really? Was
No,
the gas
it's
price up that much higher?
Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please raise your right hand. And Harold's going to need an audio vote from you.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you. It's unanimous. Need a motion for preliminary approval of music department's field trip to Cleveland, Ohio, May 21st, May 22nd.
Motion to approve.
Questions or comments?
Fantastic. They're going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Fantastic. Anyway, I'm happy about it.
Yes, I'm thrilled that they are.
It's going to be a great trip. God bless them.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor of preliminary approval, please raise your right hand. Harold, your voice vote?
yes,
Okay, that's unanimous. Need a motion to approve the 2022-2023 budget calendar as printed.
Motion to approve is printed. I'll second.
Questions or comments? All in favor of the budget calendar, please raise your right hand. Harold, your voice vote?
yes,
That's unanimous. Need a motion to approve the corrective action plan for the year ended June 30th, 2021 as printed.
Motion to approve is printed.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor of the corrective action plan, please raise your right hand. And Harold?
yes,
That's unanimous. Down to business information items. So we go through these. If you have any questions, please stop and we'll get an answer for you. Treasurer's report, September 2021. Student activities balance and reconciliation sheet, September 2021. Year-to-date report, July through September 2021. Use of school facility requests. Okay, thank you. On to personnel. On to personnel certified.
I had one question on 4D.
I'm sorry.
Is there any chance for a late addition on any of those?
Well, What do you have in mind?
A PTSA craft night for November 30th. It would be Tuesday. It would be after Thanksgiving. It would be in the cafeteria. We've done it
Yeah, we just
over the years.
send us a form, we can take care of it in-house. We don't
I
have to
did-
approve it tonight.
Oh, okay, as long as it doesn't need to be approved, but
Yeah, I mean, we'll have the, this is not approval, this is just
Okay.
FYI.
I came in this morning and
Yeah.
I was hoping I'd get in.
Just
last
get it
night.
to us, and it doesn't need, the board doesn't need to approve it, but we'll get it in. Just give us a form, please.
Okay, thank you. Personnel certified?
The recommendation, very pleased to recommend Joe J. DePasso Jr. of Lindenville and Rochester, New York. He has dual residency. In the tenure area of school business administrator, effective January 2nd, 2022, having successfully completed his probation period, January 2nd, 2018 to January 1st, 2022, and has certification as a school district leader. Very pleased to make that recommendation on Mr. DePasso.
Need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. I'll second.
Questions or comments? All in favor of the tenure recommendation, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Harold, your voice vote?
Yes.
Okay, that passes.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Coaching improvements, what am I trying to say? Appointments as listed.
Listed.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
The JV and varsity wrestling coaches are considered co-coaches.
Correct, Kristen. Yeah.
Any
And
other
the pay is
questions?
split, just like we've done it before with them.
Any other questions or comments?
That's just like the split we do with basketball.
Yes.
Right, all in favor of the coaching recommendations, please raise your right hand. Harold, your voice vote?
Abstain.
Okay, that passes.
I recommend, sorry, I'm looking at something else. I recommend the approval of Lindsay Cotis as school newspaper advisor for this current school year.
Motion to approve.
Any questions or comments? All in favor of the recommendation, please raise your right hand. Harold, your voice vote?
Yes.
That's unanimous. On personnel classified,
Yeah, thank you. Recommendation that you approve Tanya Merrick as temporary district clerk. She's been doing a great job, as written.
I'll second.
any questions or comments? All in favor of the temporary district clerk, please raise your right hand. Harold, your voice vote?
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Recommend the resignation of Joyce Montague as cafeteria monitor effective October 8th, 2021.
Motion to accept the recommendation.
Resignation, yeah,
Recommendation of resignation.
thank you.
Do we have a second? Any questions or comments? All in favor of accepting the resignation, please raise your right hand. Harold, voice vote?
Yes. Yes.
That's unanimous.
Recommendation that you approve Amy Avery as cafeteria monitor effective November 9th. This will be this week, 2021.
Second, we thank.
Any questions or comments? All in favor of the appointment, please raise your right hand. Harold, your voice vote?
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Recommend the substitute recommendation as written. I just want to point out Darlene Zeliff, very pleased. Our nurse has been working, has not taken a day off since COVID began. Harold, that was Harold. All right, so pleased to recommend Amber Hamilton and especially Darlene Zeliff as substitute nurse. And Darlene's well versed in COVID protocol. She's done it at her previous job at Brockport College.
I'll second.
Do we have a second? Any questions or comments? All in favor, please raise your hand. Harold, your voice vote?
Yes.
And Harold, we're getting a lot of background noise, so if you could mute while you're not speaking, that'd be great. Thank
Okay,
you.
boss.
Thank you, Dick. Recommend the volunteers as written. We're pleased to have volunteers back. And for anybody out there listening, our volunteer application is now entirely online. People can apply. I mentioned that last week in my update. People can apply online, and it comes right to myself and Tanya, and we're easily able to approve them and have them vetted through our SRO. So very pleased to recommend these folks as written.
Motion to approve as written.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Harold, your voice vote?
Yes.
That's unanimous. Need a motion to approve the recommendations from the Committee on Special Education and Preschool Special Education as written.
Motion to approve as written, the recommendation of the Committee on Special Education. I'll second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor of the recommendations, please raise your right hand. Harold, your voice vote?
Yes.
That's unanimous. And we are in need of an executive session, but we'll do the roundtable first and then go into executive session with no action to be taken after that, and we'll adjourn. So roundtable, Jared, like to start off?
I'm just excited to see field trips and this Cleveland trip going down. That's pretty exciting. Volunteers coming back, watchdogs, all of those things coming back is a big deal for me at this point. Happy birthday to Dr. Smith, belatedly. And
Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith,
Yes, sadly, it's a milestone birthday.
congratulations on that also.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
It's not 30, it's not 40. So
I'm about to celebrate the 4-0, so it's
Yeah.
gonna feel funny. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. But yeah, that's it for me.
speaking of that trip, I just want to make one comment about the trip because I agree. I'm thrilled. And when Jennifer came to me asking for that trip, I said yes. She was shocked because I said our board would say yes to, and without even having to ask you, I knew you would be in favor of it. And she expected me to say no. I said yes, go on the trip. I said find what you can find out. So I just want to thank you all for that too.
Whenever I get to see a teacher actually do something a little extra above and beyond, I like to recognize it. And I wanted to recognize Mrs. Duffina. And while my daughter was quarantined, she set up so that she could do a video conference with her whole class on Halloween when they had their Halloween party. And all the kids individually got to come up and say what they were. And my daughter, who hadn't seen any of the kids in the week, it really lit up her day. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for going above and beyond and doing that. And it was very, very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Harold?
Yeah, I'd just like to commend the football team. Won a game this year. They're getting better and better every game they were. Soccer team with Medina did great, and hopefully we can continue on with both programs.
Thank you. Steve?
I'm all set, thank you.
Thank you. Kristen? Sue?
I just want to give a shout out to Miss Gina Marker, who took on the volunteer job of supervising the Leos, which are the Junior Lions Club members. And on Saturday morning, we had a team of approximately a dozen kids. We met at the Birch. Thanks, Harold, for that. And we had pizza and juice and got our gear on and went out and cleaned the highway between 18 and then south on 63 to, I believe it's Mill Road. So we had quite a few there, and that was terrific, and it went a lot faster, and adults didn't have to do it, so it was great. So thanks to Miss Marker, and they are also involved in some other things that are coming up, but she does a really great job for that, so she should get a thanks for that.
I just want to clarify one thing. She did volunteer to do the assignment, but it is part of the teacher's contract, so she is given a small stipend. But she did volunteer, but you approved her a couple last month or so. She's not making a lot of money on it, probably like 5 cents an hour, but she's doing a great job. So
Worked hard.
Okay, thank you. And just like to mention our ex officio student member, Gracie Johnson, is at senior play practice, so unable to be here, but she did submit something to the members in writing. Joe?
I'd just be real quick. I just want to say thank you for the tenure and looking forward to continuing working here. So thank you.
Very good. Congratulations, Joe. Alyssa?
On the line of getting some things back to normal, we did hold our first assembly. We followed protocol and students could only sit in every other seat. So with the elementary, it was still a full auditorium. And thanks to Mrs. Folman and Mrs. Trupo who organized that, it was the very first band and chorus concert for their peers for 5th and 6th grade. They were able to perform for everyone. And then the entire elementary school sang spooky ooky songs. And it was just a joyous time to have everyone together again. I'm so thankful for that. Before we meet again, we will have the elementary musical. So I invite you to that. It is Lion King on the 2nd and 3rd of December. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron?
I'd just like to echo Sue's comments about our Leo Club. Thanks to Mrs. Marker. And I look forward to the induction of the new Leos at the Lions meeting on Wednesday. And I'd also like to thank the board for your support of our extracurricular appointment for Ms. Cotis. She is an extremely talented teacher with a very diverse skill set. And our vision for this school newspaper will be our own version of our Orleans hub right here in Lindenville. And I look forward to showcasing a very student-led electronic journalistic project in the near weeks and months. Thanks.
Tanya? Okay, we are in need of an executive session for, I'm sorry, your personnel matter and negotiations. You have a motion?
Motion to move to executive session?
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Harold, your voice vote?
Yes.
And that's unanimous. And so there is no action to be taken. We'll return to the regular meeting after executive session and adjourn.